Over the years, I've seen a lot of interesting challenges for playing Goldeneye. Playing it on console, playing it on emulation, playing it with super difficult enemies such as enemy rockets, golden RCP-90s, being armed with the most inaccurate clob in existence. And I've also seen it played on VHS. In fact, if you've been subscribed to this channel long enough, that was my 300 subscriber special. So I'm issuing a bit of a fun challenge for all Goldeneye fans. This isn't going to necessarily be a challenge that involves pure skill, mind you, but more the technology to play Goldeneye on another tape-like system, Betamax. I recently got a player at a flea market, and, well, this is my debut of it. And on top of that, think about this as a bit of a starter pack to kind of get an idea of what you might be in for. Note that when I got this machine, it didn't work at all, and now I think I've got it to the point where it mostly works, but the audio is still not the best. In fact, I even tried changing recording modes, and wow, I had no idea that the audio could get even worse, but at least the picture is fine, so I'll give you little tastes as to what the full Betamax recording experience is, but I am also going to supplement it with a more clean track of the audio as well, I don't want to make anybody lose their mind. So, I've recorded both the Caverns and the Cradle. The Caverns I've recorded on, well, the switch is different. I'm not sure if it was the Beta 3 setting or the Beta 2 setting. I'm going to say I recorded the Caverns on the Beta 2 setting as the sound quality was better, and I recorded the Cradle on the Beta 3 setting as it just sounds like Bond is swimming in water. But they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, so a motion picture's got to be worth 1,000,000. So let's actually see how this game looks on this medium of Betamax. So here it is in all its glory. Crazy thing is, if you look closely on it, it still has plastic wrap all over it. And when I run it for too long, it smells like it's starting to burn off. So, let's turn it on. Now, everybody knows about the famous 12 o'clock flashing, but this one offers a fun one, so you have a bit of a timer you can set as well. So basically, as soon as you put the tape in, it'll start going up or down. You can select which channels you're being inputted and whatnot. Pretty advanced machine, I would say. So we're gonna take the, I guess cassette would probably be the best term for it, out of the case, load it in the machine. Now here's probably one of the things I like. You see this little indicator right here? That tells you when the machine is fully loaded. There you go. And the counter is supposed to do that because it surprisingly has to take quite a lot of film out in order to wrap it across all the heads on this thing. Set it back to 0 and press play. I figure while I'm playing it, I will also show the VHS comparison, as I hear Beta had higher resolution or something. It's hard to say if I'm going to be able to show you the superior picture quality as well. It's kind of a miracle this thing even works to begin with. But let's begin.